Hello class. For this video, I just want to step you through getting into the two main IDEs we'll be looking at this semester and just doing some very simple code, generally your hello world type code. So what you're looking at right here is Jupyter Notebooks. If you follow through the instructions in week 1 and install the Anaconda installation, it comes along with Jupyter Notebooks. So if I wanted to now launch Jupyter Notebooks after I've installed it, I would just go to my Windows button and just go to Jupyter. You can see Jupyter Notebook Anaconda 3. I would launch that, and then it would take me right here. This is just general navigation. It just looks at your computer's normal file browsing. And any file with an .ipynb is a Jupyter Notebook file. So I'd be able to launch any of these and look at it in Jupyter Notebooks. That's how I would navigate to Jupyter Notebooks. People seem to be a little more comfortable working in PyCharm as a more traditional IDE. So if you wanted to launch PyCharm, first you would have to install the PyCharm edu instance. So you just look for the educational instance of PyCharm. There's also instructions in week 1 for that. If you then want to run it, you just go to your start menu, bring up PyCharm. You can see I've got PyCharm edu 2019.2.2. If I launch that, it would take me to this window if I haven't already started a project in the past, where I could just choose create new project and get started. I'm just going to show you simple things here real quick so you can see how to just do a few things in the two environments. All of my lectures this semester, save one, will be done via Jupyter Notebooks. Just because it's very good for demonstration purposes, we can focus on a specific snippet of code instead of having to look at the whole program. Makes things a little bit easier. But if I wanted to start a new Jupyter Notebook, I would be here, and then I could just go to the new button, and then underneath the new button, I could choose Python 3, and I could launch a new Python notebook. But I already have my notebook here. The other thing that you'll see is this is the normal view of a Jupyter Notebook, where you can see there are different cells. Some of them you can put text in, some you can put code in. You can see there's output for the code here. I actually have a skin over this that lets me demonstrate a screen with just one cell at a time. So as you can see here, it looks kind of like a PowerPoint, but it's quite a bit better for code because I can just run each cell from this view. So just be aware of that. This isn't how yours will look because you wouldn't use this demonstration tool on top of Jupyter Notebooks. You would just have a series of cells. So anyway, I'm just going to show you a few things here in Jupyter Notebook, and then I'll just show you how to do a general hello world in PyCharm as well. So welcome to Python 189, CIS189. Just some examples of what you can do when you're just getting started. So here's a super simple thing. One of the things that's beautiful about Python is you can essentially launch a project, type in some code, and hit go. There's no compile process, it just runs. So here I am doing a print statement. So to do a print statement, you just type print, and then in parentheses, you say what you want to print. And if it's text, you have to put quotes around it. So you can see I have quotes here. You can either do quotes or apostrophes. I'll show apostrophes on the next one. But the important thing is if you use apostrophes, you wouldn't be able to put an apostrophe within the string of text that you want to print, because then it gets confused. So I got this, and then I hit, I run it, and you can see it says it was already there. You can see it says hello world. If I wanted to adjust it, just do that, and then you can see it prints it to the screen. Super simple. This one's similar, except in this case I'm using those apostrophes I told you about. Again, printing hello class this time, except with apostrophes. If I run this, you can see it works just fine. But if you watch the colors on the screen, if I put an apostrophe here, you see how it gets confused. It thinks I want to, it wants that I want to print just this. So you can't put those apostrophes in. If you're putting apostrophes around it, it will. This is just going to give an error. But if I were to put quotes around it instead, and then run it, you can see, oh, I got 2 on accident. You can see that it works. It can put the apostrophe in the middle. So that's the only difference really between apostrophes and quotes in this case. Continuing on, we can also do a couple of different things here. Again, I'm just sticking with print statements because we're starting simple. I can do more than one string of text in a print statement, and all I have to do is separate them by commas. So I'm doing essentially the same thing I did before. You can see I'm going to print H, and then a comma, and then I'm going to print E, and then a comma, and then L, then comma, then L, etc., etc. So I'm basically piecing together the hello world statement as separate letters. Now, why would you do this in real life? I don't know, but just trying to show you that you can print multiple things. The other thing I'm doing here is I'm also passing a parameter saying I want to separate each one of these prints with nothing. So 2 apostrophes in a row just means empty or nothing. So when I run this, you're going to see it pieces it all together into a nice hello world. If I did not have this separator here, if I cut this out and then run it again, you can see that by default, if you have multiple things that you're printing, it will automatically put a space in between each one. So that's why I put that separator in between, so that when I do it, it sticks it all together. You can also separate in different ways. So I said, don't give me any separator. I can also use an escape character of \n, which means, in this case, I'm saying make the separator a new line. So \n in Python means new line character. If I run this, you can see it just carriage returns or enters down one line in between each one of the pieces of string that I'm outputting. So that's how you can adjust things with the separator. And this is just for fun, just to show you some of the crazy stuff we're going to get into this semester. You are not going to have to understand this for quite a while, but it's just kind of funny. You can do these crazy things where you can print out hello world, but put this in here, and you can see I can actually print it out in reverse if I wanted to, which is kind of goofy. Basically, this means start at the end and step backwards through the word. The other thing that's interesting here is with Jupyter Notebooks specifically, you can see there's a print statement here. If you don't have an output automatically assigned in your cell, it just assumes that you want to output the final value in the cell, which in this case would have been hello world backwards. So that's all I wanted to show you in Jupyter. I'm just going to launch an empty project in PyCharm so you can see a similar thing here. If I go over to PyCharm, that one that I had launched, and I just do create new project, give it a name, and then hit create. It takes a minute because it's going to build the whole project environment for me. And now I have my project environment. I need to create a new Py file, which is where I do my coding. I go over here where you can see it says hello world. I right click on it, and I choose new, and I choose new Python file. And I have to give that a name. Obviously, projects can have more than one Python file, and as we go, we will be creating more. But I'm now ready to code in PyCharm. And I can do the same thing I was doing in Jupyter Notebooks. If I just do a print statement, you can see that I've typed out my print statement. PyCharm is kind of nice that it gives you a whole bunch of little tidbits, and it says, hey, this isn't quite right. This should be done a little differently. So you want to pay attention to these kind of things. It's saying, would I like to convert double quoted string to single quoted string? That's personal preference. I like the quotes because then I don't ever have to worry about those apostrophes. But if I want to now run this, I can do it a couple of different ways. I can either right click on the header and choose Run Hello World. And you're going to see once I run it, down here on the bottom part of my screen is where my output appears. So you can see it prints out Hello PyCharm. I can also hit Control-Shift-F10, which is kind of a weird one to remember, but it's a keyboard shortcut that if you get tired of having to do the right-click thing, you can do that. I typically tell people to stay away from the play button here because sometimes, especially when we get into unit testing, it doesn't act how you think it should. But you can try it. If it starts acting weird on you, then either right-click on this or hit this play button up here just to make sure that you're printing or running the whole file instead of just a portion of it. That's all I have to show you for Unit 1. I know this is pretty light, pretty easy stuff here, but it's just to get comfortable with the environment a little bit. In the next module, we're going to get into quite a bit more. Thanks.